When you step onto a pickleball court, you've already made one great choice, deciding to play. But now comes the tricky part, choosing the right paddle. Whether you're a complete newbie or a seasoned pro, the pickleball paddle you choose can make or break your game. And trust me, picking the right one isn't as simple as grabbing the first one that looks cool online. I'm here to guide you through this mess so you don't end up with something that makes you wonder if the problem is you or the paddle. Pickleball paddles have come a long way from their early days of being simple wooden planks that look more like something you'd hang up on the wall. Back in 1965, when the sport was first invented near Seattle, pickleball paddles were nothing more than laminated wood, simple and straightforward. And for a while that worked just fine. But now, the game has exploded in popularity, and with that, so has the technology behind the paddles. We're not talking just about hitting balls with a piece of wood anymore. These paddles have evolved into highly engineered tools meant to fine-tune your game, and everyone from beginners to pros is in the mix of trying to find the perfect one. Now, you've probably already heard about the classics, Selco, Jeweler, Diadem, but what's actually going to work for you? Let's break down the truth of what these paddles really bring to the table. First up, if you're a beginner, you don't need to splurge on something crazy right out of the gate. The Panel Sound Pickleball Paddles set gives you 2 paddles, balls, and even some cooling towels for under $30. Not bad for someone just getting into the game. Don't expect a ton of power or spin from these paddles, but what they lack in performance, they make up for in reliability. They're sturdy, have a comfy grip, and get you used to the feel of the game without making you second guess your wallet. If you've got kids or friends trying to learn, these are the ones to hand out. But what if you're beyond just dabbling and want to get a bit more serious? That's where the SLK Evo Power XL 2.0 comes in. This paddle is perfect for players transitioning from tennis to pickleball thanks to its balanced weight distribution. It's like a tennis racket in disguise, but don't expect it to deliver the insane spin you'd get from higher-end paddles. Still, for beginners with more ambition, it's a solid upgrade. But before going any further, let's test if you've been listening with this relatively simple quiz. Back in 1965, when the sport was first invented near Seattle, pickleball paddles were nothing more than laminated what? Was it A, wool, B, plastic, C, metal, D, wood? Let me know which option you think is right. The correct answer will be revealed at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Now back to it. Now, if you're eyeing the pros, or at least want to feel like one, you'll need something with more power. Meet the Jeweler Ben Johns Persis 14mm. Jeweler might be new to the pickleball scene, but it's already making waves. This paddle packs a punch, but be warned, it's not very forgiving. If you don't have control, you'll be hitting balls into the next zip code. But if power is your game, and you know how to control it, you'll love the jolt this thing sends through the ball. Just ask my friend Danielle. She's dealing with a shoulder injury and said this paddle basically lets her hit bombs without having to work too hard. Not too shabby, eh? Speaking of bombs, you might want to hit hard but aren't trying to drop $200 or more on a paddle. In that case, check out the Phantom Eternal. This budget-friendly paddle brings a carbon fiber face at only $85, which is pretty insane considering the quality. Sure, it's not going to be as precise as the $250 models, but if you're just trying to have some fun and see what you can get away with, the Phantom Eternal will have you feeling like you can send that ball wherever you want, even if it sometimes disagrees. Let's talk about spin for a second. Spin is one of those things that separates the good players from the great ones. If you can master spin, you'll be leaving opponents shaking their heads. That's where the Reload Pickleball paddle steps in. The biggest issue with spin paddles is that the gritty surface that helps create it wears down fast. But Reload's innovative peel and stick carbon fiber sheets fix that issue. Instead of replacing your whole paddle, you just swap out the surface when the grit starts to fade. It's like getting a brand new paddle for $50 instead of spending another $200. And yes, you'll definitely feel the difference in your spin control. For players serious about mastering topspin or backspin, this one's a no-brainer. Now, if you're someone who loves the sound of a well-hit ball echoing through the air, and yes, some people live for that sound, the Jeweler Tyson McGuffin Magnus 3 is for you. The pop this paddle makes is quite frankly addictive. Every time you make contact with the ball, it's like hitting a walk-off homer. That satisfying pop is music to your ears, unless you live next to a pickleball court, in which case you might have some neighbors complaining. It's a powerful paddle, but you might find yourself overshooting, so be prepared to reel in that extra oomph. You with me so far? Excellent. On the flip side, maybe you're trying to avoid the noise, whether it's because you're practicing at home or just don't want to deal with the extra drama. The Diadem Hush is your paddle. It's the quietest paddle on the market, and while it won't let you pull off the same explosive shots as the Jeweler, it handles much like any other paddle. Plus, it's ideal for players who want to sneak in a few quiet games without waking up the neighborhood. For those who value style as much as performance, there's the recessed pickleball paddle. This is the paddle you bring out when you want to look good on the court. It comes in all sorts of colorful designs, and while it doesn't have the same grit as carbon fiber paddles, it's still pretty solid in terms of performance. The smaller sweet spot might make things tricky for advanced players, but if you want to show off while still hitting some solid shots, recessed paddles are hard to beat. And of course, I couldn't forget about the younger crowd. If you've got kids who want to get into the game, the Pickle Genius paddle is a great option. It's thinner and lighter, which means kids can swing faster and harder. My 9-year-old daughter loves this one, and for $60, it's a great way to get your younger players hooked without breaking the bank. Finally, let's talk practice. If you're actually serious about leveling up your game, you might want to consider the Slinger Pickleball machine. This thing will shoot balls at you all day long up to 45 miles an hour, giving you a workout without needing a partner. It's like having your own personal trainer on the court, and trust me, it can put more spin on the ball than most human players. Sure, the remote control could use some work, and it's a bit bulky, but if you're looking to improve your game solo, then the Slinger is 100% worth the investment. So, whether you're just starting out or you're a pro looking for that perfect paddle, there's something out there for you. The key is to know what you're after, whether it's power, spin, quiet play, or even just style, and find the paddle that matches your needs. Don't rush it, test a few, see how they feel, and then commit. Because once you've found the right paddle, it's game on. Now, for everyone who stuck around, the answer to today's quiz question of, back in 1965 when the sport was first invented near Seattle, pickleball paddles were nothing more than laminated what? Is D. Wood. Yeah, pickleball, invented in 1965 on Bainbridge Island, began with simple plywood paddles. These heavy handcrafted wooden paddles evolved by the 1980s when Boeing engineer Arlen Paranto introduced lightweight composite paddles, changing the game. This shift led to today's high-performance paddles made of advanced materials like carbon fiber and polymers. If you're interested in knowing more about paddles, then this video titled Top 7 Best Pickleball Paddles of 2024 for every skill level is calling your name. Give it a watch.